newer cars. Watch for Ron Pauly there in that Lexus to try to pull out. Kermit Upton, man, he's doing really well up front in that BMW. But David Huber, who races with us sometimes in IGT and that Datsun, it's going to be a neat fight between these Group 12, Group 6 cars. We look for Kermit to pull away, but Ron Pauly, never count him out in that Lexus.
So it's Upton and Huber in the BMW M3 and the 280ZX. Side by side at the start of this one with a massive field behind them. One of our biggest fields of lot. Look at that.
Look at that.
What a joy. The Mercedes already showing in the 35A. Taking the outside route into 90.
Chris Zappa in that black 240Z just got it painted. Not enough time to cure the paint on the hood, so there's no gold stripe on the hood, but Kermit Upton takes it up the hill. There's that 240.
Burt taking a wide line, throwing up the dust a little bit as he went through turn 2, and up the hill they go then for the first time in our second race of the day, which is Group 8 and Group 12B.
I'd like to thank RC and Race Control on the starter for throwing a late green there to get the whole field around the corner, because look at this grouping of cars. Unbelievable.
Like I said, you've got to have your wits about you if you're in the middle of that, because you're seeing Alphas, BMWs, and you're trying to gauge. Look at that. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Tom Benjamins and Dave Nicholas going at it. Alpha, BMW, huge rivalry in the B Sedan series.
Oh, yeah.
Coming around this inner loop, there's some Italian colored cars in that Alpha there, the number 57.
Classic Alpha. It's the 52 of Chip Van Sant in the GTV Junior.
Okay, so it looks like Kermit.
1971.
I wouldn't call that a comfortable lead from Kermit, so that's not normal.
Around the boot they come then for the first time, and we see it beautifully here from the drone. And there's some good battles on the midfield. Look at this, 3 wide there for a moment. Squeezing it all through. So beautifully done.
That's Chris Zappa there behind that Mercedes-Benz. John Peruto. And then Greg Frey in that 9146, which is basically a 914 with a 911 engine in it. That red BMW's moving his way up. And the Alpha got it a little bit wrong there. That white-black Alpha in the toe lost a little speed, so let's see if he gets back.
So it's going to be Kermit Upton that leads from David Huber as it was at the start. Ron Pauly in 3rd position, crossing the line now. And the Lexus, and then of course the Merc, the 190E just behind, doing a good job ahead of the 240Z Datsun, black and gold, of Christopher Zappa.
It's Greg Galdi there in that BMW E46, doing a really good job. I got to give it up. You know, lots of times in vintage racing, you don't like the modern cars with the older cars because the guys in the actual vintage 72 or older don't think they're giving them the right respect, but we did not see that there. Greg probably could have tried to force the issue and make a low probability, but he lived to fight another day, and that beautiful red E46, and look at these Alphas.
Now, I've got a question for you. I'm sure other people are thinking the same thing. Why is a Lexus IS 300 in the middle of all this? It's from 2004. We've seen him a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you've told me
He's
the
our
story
championship winner, yeah.
Right, but why does he kind of...
That is a historic car, so it has to have provenance to be that new, but it raced in different series back in the day. I think they made 3 of them. He owns this whole car and a body. He is a Toyota Lexus dealer.
Okay.
And it has a lot of history, a really cool car. And so he races in Group 12 because it's basically 73 or newer.
Yeah.
And I believe he is a SCCA national champion, raced in IMSA, raced I think in the Camel GT class. Really nice guy, good racer. And you know, if you're a Toyota dealer, you gotta race one of your own, right?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people think it's the same as I am, which is isn't Lexus
how is
a modern
that
car?
Yeah, how is that vintage? But you know, if we just stayed 72 or older, be hard to grow the sport because there's lots of cars like that Mercedes and that E46 that need a place to run, and we will happily provide that to them. And man, thank you for turning on your headlights there, Escort. That just looks so cool. Oh, look!
Hey, 3 wheels on my wagon.
Nice little tripod there from Mayor Primo.
Nice work. buzzing sound here at Watkins Glen. The crowd starting to fill in. And like you say, the headlights giving it the full Castrol colours. A classic.
So you can tell that somebody last night is taking a chance on Mayor Primo's really nice dove gray Alfa Romeo. He's got a real soft suspension setup. And then this red car that we're focusing in on with the gray stripe, the one just behind this car is Rob Davenport, a historic car. That's the 99 there. Vince Vaccaro, longtime racer with us in his B sedans here. Beautiful car, really well prepared. Look at the stance on that car. I like the livery. I like that stripe going down the lines. Two-tone.
1972, that car. GTV.
And that is gorgeous. So there's Rob Davenport there. In his dad's car, Dick Davenport, I believe, in the 2-2. And he loves his B sedan racing. His dad was a national champion, I believe, in that car in SCCA. That is the car. And we keep saying that because he keeps bringing cars with us. We appreciate that. Rob Davenport out of Louisville, Kentucky. And his whole team, they have a little special show for us at the grid later on today, which I hope you guys tune into that, to the Governor's Cup, the all-alpha race, because his crew and the people that work for him are going to put on a little show at the grid for us. And there's Kermit, the current leader.
Our leader at the moment, yeah. You can see the gap he's got on the Datsun. The Lexus still there in third place, but a healthy gap, but that could change.
That was a 1994 BMW M3, the year that I graduated high school.
But you didn't have a BMW back then.
No, I had a Ford Ranger. And a 1974 Cadillac hearse with a 501 engine in it.
What were you doing with a hearse?
I was a drummer, and that was my van.
Okay, fair enough.
And I could use the casket rollers.
No. You said you were a drummer. You've explained everything.
Yeah. And I used the casket rollers to bring out all the stuff.
That's a great idea.
Kermit Upton really showing us what he's got there. And, man, I love the look at these Alphas. And I hate to say that. You know, somebody, the British car guy, isn't supposed to like the Axis cars of the Germans, the Italians, and the Japanese, but I do. I love it.
Ira Schoen.
In that Ford Capri. I called it a Mercury Capri, but that's a Ford Capri.
And, you know, you talk about the Escort. The Capri was just as, I mean, that was a boy racer's car for sure. I remember watching, I think there was a show called The Professionals back in England. They had a Ford Capri. Shooting around London.
That's Whit Smith and the Alfa Romeo Spider, 72. Even though it's not a 69 red, that makes me think of the Graduate and Simon and Garfunkel, but that's a good-looking car. What were you saying? What were you saying, Jonathan? I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, I love the way you'll see the signals, and that's the beauty of guys who've been doing historic racing for a long time. They see a car coming up in the mirrors, they know they're faster, and they just give them a signal as to which side they want them to go past them. So that, yeah, they're racing, but they're well aware that if a more powerful or faster car is coming through, they just give them a quick hand signal to say, hey, I know you're coming, off you go.
There's Hawaii Dave Nicholas in the NASDAR. Kevin Richards, his mechanic, found that in a barn. Dave raced that last time here in 1974. You see the Camel GT sticker just in this same livery. It went from here basically into a barn and sat. Kevin, 2 years ago, found it and surprised him with it. Oh. And now he's out here racing it. How cool is that?
How long did it take to get it at the barn and up to full throttle?
You'd have to ask Kevin that. It did not look good when he took pictures of it. But you need to go to Bark Boys. We talked to Joe Turno earlier. Dave Nicholas is one of the 4 Bark Boys. They're here. BarkBoys.com from Binghamton, New York. Since high school, they were skipping school and checking out camera equipment and going to all the races.
Oh, you mentioned that yesterday.
And they have the coolest website of historic photos. They got to meet and hang out with everybody. One time at a gas station on the way to a race, they ran into Janet Guthrie. They were out of gas. She gave them $5. 3 years ago at one of our events, Janet Guthrie was our grand marshal. And Dave Nicholas paid her back the $5.
Ah, lovely story.
Now, with interest, it should have been like $35, but he only gave her $5. And that's Hawaii Dave Nicholas right there. One of the most fun people.
Talking of money, did you love that story of Rash yesterday with Lynn St. James saying she never knew whether she was going to keep the job when she raced for Rash, so she kept $20 in her pocket just in case she needed a cab home.
Look at this. Tony Garcia, we got to give him credit. The cameraman started the day off right. First shot, those clover leaves, giving us some really good luck. Look at that car. Michael Lawton, 1973 Alfa Romeo Spider. Nice job, Michael Lawton.
Yeah, and the Spider, you know, when people think of Alfa Romeo, they think of the Spider.
Yeah.
That's usually the first one they think of.
And now I got to explain the gray area, because the people that have been paying attention are like, how is a 1973 a Group 8 car? It's because that iteration of car might have come out in 71, so it counts as a 71 technology, even though it's the year 73. As we look at Rob Mokas trying to make a pass there on the number 19 of Robert Brady. But I'm still not finding Mokas on our sheet, unless we have somebody else driving the car.
No, same here. Oh well, all will be revealed.
And BMW 2002. Look at these guys coming around the slip angle.
Don't forget, as well as our Governor's Cup Alfa Romeo Mark race, that's one of our feature races, of course, Trans Am, an all-class Trans Am race this afternoon, and we're looking forward to that because we had a cracker yesterday. Hopefully Boris said will also be joining that field. He wasn't able to race yesterday. Thankfully came into the booth and was a delight, as he always is, and regaled us with his stories of Watkins Glen and his racing career. But he'll be racing in TA hopefully this afternoon.
That was Alan Mitchell there in that black 82A. 1982 Alfa Romeo GTV 6, and we have a few of those out here this weekend, and I love it because it used to be just the Mowers kind of holding up the 80s Alfa Romeo GTV 6s, but now I've seen 3 or 4 this weekend, so we welcome them. If this is their first time, I hope they join us many times to come. Look at this, a big pass side by side at the toe of the boot.
Yep.
Not a great passing area.
And no change at the front. Kermit
3 wide.
Upton still leading from David Uber in the Datsun.
Something's happening here. 3
Look
wide.
at this.
Big
7 cars all heading towards the toe. The heel,
Scott
I should say.
Berkland leading it up. And then that's Glenn Maurer in that Marlboro car. Glenn, I'm going to want the in car from that. That's amazing.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I got to get up for my buddy Russell Poole there in the 77, that 914. Russell had some health issues here recently, so it's so glad to see him back here in the 1970 914-6. Russell Poole, longtime SVRA vintage racer. And look at, here's the little group of these GTV 6s there. Glenn Maurer, maybe Chase, and that, don't know who's driving that. I haven't even looked. That's Glenn Maurer in that Marlboro-looking car. Look at that. Look at this group of cars. That is beautiful.
It's great, isn't it? I mean, I was about to say, I watched them come through 10, and they literally just dabbed the brakes, no more. Into turn 1.
Scott Berkland over Russell Poole there. Scott Berkland has been a long-time Group 8 champion in SVRA. My buddy Dave Beard is going to try to take that from him here one of these years.
Yeah, that 77 is a 1970 914.
Steve Rao in the 72 Alpha. Look at Glenn looking on the outside.
This is going to be a good finish, I think.
Tell you what, Glenn, if you turn those headlights on, your car will be faster.
Yeah,
and there comes our leader.
Here is our now he's got a bit of a problem though, because he's going to catch these guys before the end of the race. The BMW's led the whole way now, that M3 into the bus stop. There's a long way yet left in this lap before he catches them.
Just behind him is my favorite car in the group, that green 1985 Jaguar XJS, Charles Butte.
Yeah, I've always liked the Jaguar XJS. Beautiful car. My dad had one growing up, and my dad's a Jaguar man. He loves his Jaguars.
Yeah. Brag much about how rich your dad is?
Yeah, well, you know. I don't think he ever owned them. I think he just leased.
How was it going to school in your Rolls Royce, asking the
Hey,
guy next to you about his
I
Grey
went to school
Poupon?
in a Triumph Spitfire. That's what I. 2 Afghans, me and my sister, and my mum driving with a scarf blowing in the wind. That was how I went to school. We didn't get to go in the Jaguar with Dad. He'd gone to work by then.
Oh, okay.
This is a cracking race. Here comes our leader, and he's got some work to do now because that BMW has now got to side his way through a whole host of cars to stay ahead and win this race.
Yeah, but they're in their own race.
Yeah, of course
so
they are.
He can't disrupt that either. So there he is, Kermit Upton, coming around Scott Birkeland. Scott Birkeland sees him. We can see the flagger at turn 10 giving the blue flag, which he should. Thank you very much, Morshe. And is he going to take the checkered flag?
Or as Brian Redmond said,
last lap, nice.
As Brian Redmond said at the opening festival, ladies, gentlemen, and others, which I thought was, pretty woke of him.
Guess we need to do that now.
Yeah. I'm going to try and coax Brian into the booth later. We'll get some stories.
I'm sure he's not short on any stories.
Well, he texted me and said he'd done 3 after-lunch speeches yesterday, so they've got him working as the Grand Marshal.
Love it. So that's David Huber there, and that Datsun second place.
Now he's trying to navigate his way through.
And that's a 280Z. We don't see many of those. The late 70s big rubber bumper Z cars.
Good cars, too. Great cars.
Yeah, basically if we put that car or a 240 next to an MGB GT, and we talk about this a lot, the Japanese basically built British cars reliably. And that's kind of their key right there back in those days.
You don't win for it. Well, he's trying to do his best to get through.
Don't hit anybody, Huber, but he's got the other car right behind him there. Greg Galdi in that BMW E46, so he's got to stay up. And Huber knows how to navigate through some traffic, but this is a crazy one here.
Very good stuff. But it looks as though it's going to start as it's going to finish as it started, with Kermit Upton winning. If everything goes according to plan, David Uber will just side his way through the traffic. Ron Pauly still there in that Lexus, although we haven't seen him for a bit.
Which is unusual. Ron Pauly's usually up front, but he's been having some problems.
Gregory Galdi has got through in the BMW E46, so Pauly's dropped to 4th. Here comes your leader. Couple of corners to go then for Upton.
You know, we need to have an Axis versus Allies race. We need to have a World War II, the Americans and the British and the Swedish and the Australian versus the Italian, German, and Japanese.
May not be politically correct these days, but I like the idea.
We need to do it. I'd like to know who would win that.
Here comes your winner then in our second race. There's the checkered flag. Nice. And he led all the way.
Let's see what happens here, because Huber and
they're going to be close as they finish here. Here we go.
There's Huber.
Yep,
there's
right
Galdi.
behind him.
And Pauly.
And Pauly, right, in the Lexus in 4th. Right there. So, second, third, and fourth. Lovely.
Japanese, German, Japanese.
Upton then from David Uber and Gregory Galdi, just holding off Ron Pauly at the end there.
The Allies did not do well there. Good race.
Yeah, good
Jonathan,
fun.
Another race without any medal to medal.
No, listen. We had bad luck yesterday. I don't want to jinx it.
Hey, Tony Garcia, man. It starts with those clover leaves.
Okay.
Kermit, I love it. We have a Kermit the Frog Eye Sprite that races with us, and now we have a Kermit Upton out here with us, really fast in that BMW M3. And man, I tell you what, these M3s from that iteration, 5-6 years ago, you could buy them for nothing, and they have really shot up in price.
Yeah.
Just got word. It just said that, and you're right. 113 gray. Mayor Primo just impacted the wall. Oh.
See, now you've jinxed it, you see.
Sorry,
well,
Mayor.
Given that is our footnote for that race, we've got a slight crash that will be needed to be excavated from the wall. But a great race indeed for Group 12B and Group 8 at our second race of the day. My thanks once again to Ben. And we have more to come. Group 10 soon, but also coming up right next is Group 5A, 7 and 11.